Yeah, yeah,
Let's go, turn that shit up.
yeah, I'm kicking, yeah, I'm kicking, I'm kicking, I'm kicking. I'm kicking shit like Karate Kid. I'm ballin' like Mikey, I've been that kid. I'm getting this money, it makes him sick. I promise my mama will all be rich. Stay down for my fam, no, I'll never switch. My bills always blue, so I caught him stitch. It's the struggle for years, but I never bitch. My fire keep burning, I'm always lit. Bitch, I don't smoke at a strip. Lately been making these rich moves. I'm rich and my partners get rich too. Wait, let me see how your
October 22nd, episode 5, back here at the Ozark Trail
Episode
Studios.
6.
Fuck you. Rewind that shit back. It's so early.
And we're rolling.
October 22nd, episode 6 of the Deseret MMA podcast, the number one podcast in Utah. Before we even get rolling into today's episode, let's give a huge shout out to Forrest Griffin for the intro.
What's up? Forrest Griffin here, and you're watching the Desert MMA podcast, but like desert. Anyway, it is the best Utah-based podcast there is in the world ever in Utah.
He definitely made that his own for sure.
Yeah, definitely butchered the name, but
Considered switching it to Dessert, but we're 5 episodes too late to be doing all that.
I think we need to point out that we even included a pronunciation guide for him and he still butchered it.
Shout out to Forrest Griffin, though.
A big shout out. Appreciate
One of the
it.
goats.
Definitely butchered the name though. A little bit of a different setup we have today for sure.
Definitely switching it up here. I guess we can talk about. We're in the chairs now, way more comfier.
Oh, yeah.
Much more loose vibe here. It's after hours. It's late. October 22nd.
About 11 o'clock at night here.
We got Bob over here. We got Dilbro, Johnny in the building. Bob's looking snazzy. He got really dressed up for this one because he was just so fucking excited for 280.
Yeah, huge card. Started way early today.
Fucking early. It started at 8 local time for us over here. We did our very best attempt to just stay up all night and be awake for when the card started. But we didn't fucking make it.
I did not attempt that. I was not part of that.
Kobe was not a part of that. But we tried to make it till 8 in the morning. We were unsuccessful. We made it till about 5. Woke up at 8, turned on the fights, fell back asleep, woke up and got ready, and then started watching. I kind of tuned in right at the right time, though. I walked in during the Nurmagomedov fight.
Yeah, that's about when we started watching it after I got here. You know, I do not like the vibe of midday fights. Fights need to be watched at nighttime.
It's so different for a morning card.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a morning card. That's not even like a midday card. Like, that's a morning card.
Well, what time was it here when the main event started? It was 12 when the main event started, so that was right on midday there. What was the last midday one? UFC Paris?
Yeah, Paris was
Started
early.
like 2. The main card started for that.
Yeah, something like that. It was early as well.
Yeah, I just don't like the midday fights.
But it was a fucking hell of a night or hell of a day of fights.
Yeah,
I mean,
lots of good fights.
it being a day fight. I mean, 280 was so big that this. I mean, it was huge in Abu Dhabi, and there was so much different cultures there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, just a card that massive, it's hard for it. I'm curious if they lose sales on these pay-per-views because of it.
You'd think they'd
It's
have
so
to.
early.
Not as many people are buying a pay-per-view for a fight in the middle of the day.
Well, I don't know how many people like wake up and they get rolling and they're doing their morning chores and whatnot, and then they look and it's like 11. The main card starts at 12. I don't know if it's all worth spending $75.
Mm-hmm.
But of course I did. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
every
for
month, give me that shit.
You know, solid fight card today. We started watching on a fairly good fight. We got the last half of it, I believe, about.
Yeah, the last half of it, unanimous decision. So don't really have much to say about anything that come prior to that. Looks like one judge gave it to him 30-27, and then the other two 29-28. But then, I mean, we jumped right into the Nikita Krylov and Volkan Ozdemir fight, and that was a hell of a fight.
Yeah, I missed most of that fight, but you and Zach watched that. Shout out, Zach.
Shout out big old Zach. Beast of a man. Shout out to Camden. Shout out to Ned. All the boys are getting shout outs tonight. Just good to be around good people. Mm-hmm. Especially, like, we don't get all of us together all that often, so it's just so nice when we all do get together, especially on these big cards.
Yeah, it was good to see Ned.
And Ned doesn't get out much. But, I mean, the Volkan Ozdemir fight, I didn't think that fight was going to make it to a decision, especially after the first round. Ozdemir come out swinging. Krylov was kind of all over the place, and he was hurting him, tagging up Krylov. Dropped him, I think, at one point. And then Krylov ended up, towards the end of the first round, dropping him. Mm-hmm. So I don't even know how you score that. That's what I said when we were watching, is I don't know how you even score something like that. But one of the judges
looks like Krylov significantly outstruck Ozdemir.
I'm curious how much of those were on the ground.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see.
9 minutes and 17 seconds of control time for Krylov.
Yeah, 7 takedowns compared to 1 for Ozdemir.
7 of 20 takedown attempts.
Yeah.
One submission attempt.
Wasn't super accurate with the takedowns, but did get 7 of them. So
a lot of takedowns to shoot.
Yeah, he was shooting.
I don't know if I could shoot 20 takedowns in one round, or not in a 15-minute span. Be huffing and puffing.
For sure.
That was a good fight.
Yeah, that was a good one. And we move on to Muradov versus
Barallo. Barallo's a beast, man. I watched him in his Contender Series fight. I've kind of been following him in his whole journey into the UFC so far. He was on there twice and ended up getting KO in 1 minute and 41 seconds in the first round. The second time he went on the Contender Series. And then now he's officially 3-0 in the UFC, 3 unanimous decision wins. He's about ready to make the jump. Middleweight, that's stacked division. It's a division that also needs new blood.
Mm-hmm. Who do you think he fights next? You got a prediction on that for us?
You can check out the middle rank. If he was to get a ranked fight, Brad Tavares, or I actually was thinking Chris Curtis, but
fought 3 times this year.
Yeah, been very busy.
Yeah, he's been busy. Completely undefeated in the UFC and Contender Series.
He's excited.
Yeah, he's moving in quick.
Brad Tavares got a fight. I can't remember if we talked about that. I don't even remember who he's fighting.
At the rate he's fighting that, he'll be ready to go first of next year.
Yeah, it seems like he likes to fight a lot too. Shout out to Julian too. Apparently she wanted to come and say what's up. The Bilal Muhammad fight was a hell of a fight.
That was a pretty good fight. That's another one I didn't catch very much of. I missed parts of that one for sure.
Bilal Muhammad for sure impressed me tonight. Bilal Muhammad is someone that's 7-0-1, so he hasn't lost in his last 8 fights. He had that no contest with Leon Edwards with the eye poke. He was calling for Colby Covington after his last win.
You think he did just get a pretty good win there.
It was really. I don't know who he would fight next because Dana White said he's for sure going to try to make Colby Covington and Khamzat Chimaev for the UFC card in England in March.
That would be super interesting because it puts the winner of that fight right on the same schedule, the winner of the Usman Edwards rematch to fight for the title next.
Definitely a title eliminator fight.
Mm-hmm. Just like today.
Yep, just like in the bantamweight division. We'll get to that too.
You get the title fight, and then the next contender for the title, right on the same card, puts a perfect schedule.
He could fight Gilbert Burns. That'd be a hell of a fight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Gilbert Burns has a match right now. Jeff Neal had a fight. Who's Jeff Neal fighting? Vicente Luque. No, that was his last fight. Jeff Neal's climbing. Beat Neil Magny. Beat Ponzinibbio. Beat Luque. Jeff Neal's the real deal. Lost to Wonder Boy, but Sean Brady, 15-0. I think ranked 8 going into that fight. Welterweight, it's a tough ass division too.
Mm-hmm. He came out looking pretty good. Wasn't looking bad at all.
No, he wasn't. Brady looked good. I know Wonder Boy's booked up with Kevin Holland. Shavkat is booked up. Who's he fighting? He's fighting someone big. What is Jorge Masvidal gonna do? I think he's going through some shit with Colby Covington right now, but
he keeps calling out Edwards, and Edwards pretty much said he's not going to fight him unless Jorge begs for it.
Which I wouldn't say he's begging, but he's definitely advocating to get that fight.
He's keeping his name up there. He's just trying to stay relevant. He's kind of on a slide and trying to stay relevant.
The beef is there with him and Leon Edwards, but what is Jorge in his last couple of fights?
He doesn't deserve a shot at the title.
No, he doesn't.
Problem.
No, I don't think so.
And he slided Edwards on when Edwards was trying to make his way back up for a title fight.
He did. Edwards was calling for that fight forever.
Mm-hmm. So if I was Leon, I personally wouldn't take the fight.
No, I don't think he does. I think
it's not.
He's gonna fight Usman in March, and then he'll fight the winner of. If he beats Usman, then he would fight the winner of Khamzat and Colby Covington.
Oh man,
that's gonna be an absolutely banger of a card.
Oh yeah, it'd be sweet if we could see that all play out next year.
Sean Brady 15-1 now.
Well,
his last fight was Chiesa, then Jake Matthews, Bilal Muhammad. He could fight a Vicente Luque, or honestly, Sean Brady and Jorge Masvidal make sense. I'm sure Sean Brady's gonna drop to 9 or 10, and Jorge will probably slide up to 12 because of that. So.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad fight.
That wouldn't be a bad fight. I know Jorge probably isn't all that eager to go fight another wrestler right now.
No, probably not. But
and I don't think Sean Brady's going to come out and take him down and do.
But really, who do you see taking a Jorge fight? Really,
I think Gilbert Burns would take a Jorge fight. Vicente Luque definitely would. That makes sense, but Sean Brady and Vicente Luque would be a hell of a fight.
All right, well, that wraps up the prelims. We can get into the first fight here on the main card with Caitlin Chikugian versus Manon Fiorot.
It's
know.
French.
Yeah, I'm not French.
Fiorot. I don't know.
That was kind of a letdown. I think we both had Chikugian going into that.
Chikugian, we had Chikugian winning that fight. I actually, it was a piss poor night for me. For my predictions, at least, I went 1 for 4 in all of the main card.
I went 2 for
5 or.
Let's see, there's
5.
5 fights, so I went 2 for 5.
1 for 5. I'd like to get way more accurate at that. I mean, there was this whole card was so big, and when you're at the top of the level like these guys are, I mean, you could just have an off night, and I mean, and you're gonna lose. I mean, if you guys fought 10 times, I mean, the likely result of it to be 10 out of 10 times for any of these top 15 fighters when they're fighting each other, it's just not all that likely that one's gonna dominate 10 out of 10 times. Anything can happen with 4-ounce gloves, and when you're throwing shins around and you're fucking elbowing people in the fucking face.
Yep, it can go anyway. Any given night. That
was a good fight. Chukagian definitely got around.
Mm-hmm.
Fioret definitely got
the best of it. Yeah. Unanimous decision on that one. 28-29 for all the judges there.
Beneil Dariush versus Martasius Gamrot. That was a hell of a fight. I did have Gamrot coming in.
I also had Gamrot.
One judge gave Gamrot a round, but everyone else saw it 30-27 for Beneil Dariush. Beneil Dariush definitely earned a lot more. He really impressed me tonight. His grappling is high level. I mean, he's a fucking hell of a grappler, man. Mm-hmm. The fucking positions that he was putting Gamrot in. Yeah,
some of those were crazy. You didn't even know what he was trying to do.
When as the broadcast was playing like the tweets on the side of the screen, and everyone was saying like 20 to 18 Gamrot, and I was like, that's not how I'm seeing this fight.
Yeah.
And then he hit Gamrot with a fuck of a shot. I can't remember what round that was in, but he fucking sat him down hard. Dariush is he's probably who should fight for the title next in the lightweight division, but obviously it's going to be Volkanovski to try to become double champ. But I mean, I don't know who Dariush would fight next. He's so close to that title shot.
Who was it? I thought we were given a name earlier today. Maybe we weren't. I can't remember now.
Not to jump in too far, but he could fight Oliveira.
You think? You think Oliveira goes down and they fight there?
I think that's
definitely possible.
I think that would be a title eliminating fight.
Definitely possible.
Yeah, he's the real deal, man. Dariush is a beast. And this fight, I think, is going to put a lot more respect on his name. And especially on a big, huge pay-per-view like this, like a lot more eyes on him.
Mm-hmm. It was a big event, too.
It was a huge fucking event. Card of the year, for sure. With Dana White confirming that John Jones is not returning this year.
Huge bummer.
This is the biggest card of the year.
For sure.
In my opinion.
Especially since they all went off. There was no one that had to drop out. It was...
Yep, everything went accordingly. Volk, even as the backup fighter for the main event, made weight. He said that he received a phone call, and they were talking to him about like making sure he was on track to making weight.
Yeah, there was a lot of speculation that Oliveira was either just not going to show up or wasn't going to make weight. I don't even know where that came from. Like the whole time, there have been lots of speculation about that fight not going through.
I saw something saying that Oliveira made weight the night before. Like that he had gotten down to 155 the night before. Both men ended up weighing in at 154.5 for the title fight. Then we can jump right into it. The man himself.
Meat and potatoes here.
Meat and the potatoes right here. Get your fucking handkerchief ready. Shit's about to get messy. Peter Yan versus Sean O'Malley.
Controversial decision here.
Fucking hell of a fight. Absolutely fucking hell of a fight. I was on edge the entire time.
Oh, yeah. You know, you can tell that was the hardest fight Sean's ever had by far.
For sure. He's never been in deep waters like that before.
No, he's never fought someone near Peter's skill. I mean, so that was a split decision. 28-29, 29-28, 28-29 for Sean there.
So the swing round ended up being round 1, which for some reason I need to watch it back again and maybe my opinion will change. But I think in the moment I thought round 3 was the swing round for me.
Yeah, I kind of did too.
I thought Sean O'Malley won round 1. He got taken down a couple of times, but he definitely outstruck him landed bigger strikes, and then he snuck in a takedown. They didn't credit him with the takedown that he got at the end of that first. I think he took him down.
I don't remember it good enough to
They
say.
said 0 for 1. So I give him round 1, and then obviously round 2 comes out. Sean O'Malley hits Peter Yan with a couple of big shots, and he's in and out of the pocket, but he's not stepping back and getting out of danger. He's in and out hitting him, and then Peter Yan just bites down on the mouthpiece and throws a fucking haymaker over the top and just fucking dropped Sean.
And Sean's face after that, he'd never been hit like that before in his life.
When Yan jumped on top of him and swung him around, I just could see the look on Sean's face that he had it. I mean, he got up a couple of times.
I was worried for him.
I was
for a
so
minute
worried
after that look on his face.
He was rocked. He seemed rocked like the entire second round. So I gave it the second round to Yan. So I had it 1-1 going into the third. And the third was a competitive round. I mean, really. I mean, this is the top 2 or 3 strikers in the division, with Sean O'Malley and Peter Yan. Corey Sandhagen probably is the other one that fits in there somewhere. I don't know the exact order to arrange it, but I mean, those guys are the best strikers in this division. And there was a hell of a fight, man. And then Sean O'Malley hit that fucking knee in the third round and split open Peter.
Oh yeah.
He was bleeding.
That cut was crazy.
Especially when he started squeezing him a little bit when they were on the ground.
When they were on the ground and Peter was on top of Sean, and the blood, you could see it squirting out on Sean's arm. Oof.
A lot of people I've been seeing it all over. This is probably the most, like, I've seen someone after a fight seen this much talk about robbery. I'm seeing everywhere that Sean O'Malley or that Peter Yan got robbed of a win.
You know, going into the decision, I could see it going either way, but I had it going Peter's way in my mind.
I was the only one out of the 6 of us in that room that said Sean O'Malley's going to win this special. I said this is going to be a split decision win. It doesn't get much closer in a fight where you're talking about the number 1 scoring criteria in damage versus the number 2, and that's control. So and if it went to Peter Yan, I wouldn't have been mad. It could have easily gone to Peter Yan. That was such a good fight, and I need to watch that back tonight for sure.
When you look at the stats, they were about on par with total strikes. Peter had 97, Sean had 91. Significant strikes, though. Sean had 84. Peter only had 58, so
5 minutes, 44 seconds of control time, I wish I could see this on ESPN where it break it down by round. I'm curious. I mean, he was on the ground for like 4 minutes in the second round. You gotta say
3 to 4 minutes is the second round. But controlled over a third of the fight.
Yeah, in total.
Compared to Sean's 2 seconds of control time.
See, I wonder when he got those 2 seconds of control time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where that was.
Up against the fence.
6 takedowns out of 13 for Peter. 0 for 1 on Sean. No submission attempts for either of them. It was a really good fight.
Sean O'Malley is yet to be tested like that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He showed more in this fight than he has in all of his other fights, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Especially against the number 1 contender, someone that, in my eyes, has beaten the current champion. It shows the world where he's really at. And something I noticed is Dana White had said before, the winner of that fight will fight for the belt.
Mm-hmm. He did say that, and then kind of backslid on it.
In the post-fight press conference, someone asked him, and he's like, well, I don't make fights the night of.
Yeah, he kind of backpedaled there a little bit, so we'll see what happens.
I don't know who else. Merab's not going to fight Aljamain.
No, it'll most likely be Sean, but Dana was backpedaling a bit. I don't know.
Then on to the co-main event, Aljamain Sterling versus TJ Dillashaw. I was really excited for this fight, and we didn't get the showing that I think this fight would have been with a healthy TJ Dillashaw.
No, TJ Dillashaw came out early in this fight and dislocated his shoulder. Was it his shoulder?
Yeah, his shoulder. He said that it happened in camp, like back in, he might have said April or March, which is a really long time ago, but he said it probably is dislocated about 20 times through camp. But he just couldn't turn down this fight. I don't know how the medical staff didn't pick up on that. But he had actually spoke to Mark, because the refs will meet with the fighters, the ones that are going to be for their fight before, and they'll talk about what their commands and signals mean. And he had said to him, hey, my shoulder's probably going to pop out in this fight. Please don't stop it. Mm-hmm. And Mark Goddard didn't, but he said something to him a couple of times and actually had the doctor come in for a second, but he didn't really hang around. You could see when his coach put his shoulder back in after the first round. He ate some shots in that first round, man. Aljamain controlled him. I mean, he was working on without one shoulder, but Aljamain dominated that whole fight.
Absolutely dominated it.
I mean, he landed 70 strikes in that first round just on the ground exchange.
I mean, when your shoulder pops out, though, in the first half of the first round, you're kind of screwed.
TJ's a fucking savage, dude.
He is.
He's a fucking savage,
his coach popped it back in for him in between the first and second round.
It was like a relief. He started shaking it around.
Yeah. Then in the second round, he was pulling on it. It looked like trying to get it back
in himself. That's tough, man. Aljamain Sterling ends up winning by TKO.
Absolutely dominated that fight.
Dominated, man. And Aljamain, and it was on one shoulder, but I mean, I was even more impressed with the way that Aljamain Sterling looked tonight.
Would have won, I think, a healthy TJ.
I think he might have won as well.
Would have beat a healthy TJ, I think, still.
I agree. I think that Aljamain Sterling still would have won that.
Dominated that fight. 148 total strikes to 13. 72 significant strikes to 8 on TJ. Let's see. 7 minutes of control time. 5 takedowns. 2 submission attempts. I mean, just dominated the whole fight. Top to bottom.
Yeah, and TJ come out on the mic and he said he apologized for holding up the division.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe when he took off his gloves that he might call it. But
yeah, it kind of seemed that way.
He's the kind of guy that said something along the lines of, if you don't think that you can be the champ, then why would you keep fighting? Mm-hmm. So I think he's gonna give it one more. I think he'll give it one more run at the title.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see him retire here in the next little while. Kind of the same way as
Jose Aldo.
Yeah. Yep.
He didn't want to make a decision right then.
Yeah.
A spontaneous decision.
Wouldn't be surprised to see it here in the next little while. Maybe he fights one more time.
Maybe he tries to go out on a win too.
Yeah.
Just to know that he retired at the top level. Mm-hmm. We get into the main event now, man. It's a heartbreaker, man. It was tough to watch, but also very entertaining to watch.
I think we need to update the listeners on one thing real quick. With Aljo's win in that fight, I won me and Garrett's bet. He got a little too confident in himself. I had to take $100 from him and to, put his ego in the right spot.
It happens. Anything can happen in 4-ounce gloves. I also lost twice. I lost 2 of the 3 of that parlay bet that we made. Islam Makhachev come out and put the pressure and put the hurting on Charles Oliveira. And Charles Oliveira is an absolute assassin, man. That's the boogeyman that kills the boogeyman. Like
he seemed real comfortable in Abu Dhabi. He seemed real comfortable.
There. Press conference.
Was the king of Abu Dhabi,
The Lion King, bro. He's there walking a fucking tiger.
Crazy. He seemed comfortable. I thought for sure he'd come in and just dominate that fight. He seemed comfortable in Abu Dhabi, seemed to lose, seemed ready to go.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He said after that fight that he's never been hit like that before. He said it's the hardest he's ever been hit. When he got dropped, man, so the first round went and Islam controlled him on the ground like he said that he was going to do. I did not think Islam was going to be able to control Charles like that. I thought Charles would throw up a little bit more submission attempts off his back. So when the first round ended and Islam took that round, I wasn't even tripping even remotely. It's a 25-minute fight. Oliveira's got 25 minutes of cardio in him for sure. So I wasn't even worried about it. And that second round, man, I mean, Islam is fucking scary good. That dude is scary fucking good.
Very good.
There's something different in the fucking water over there in Dagestan. I want some of that fucking water. I bet it's not even fucking legal to have that kind of water inside of the United States.
Probably not. USADA would get you for
I
drinking
can't believe
that
that.
water.
Yeah, that fucking water's got to be pissing hot with USADA.
For sure.
Charles Oliveira throws like a jumping teep kick or a jumping front kick on the way down, gets caught with a hook from Islam, sat down. Islam jumps right on him, right into that fucking. What did it end up being? Arm triangle. And Charles tapped, man. He hasn't fucking. I mean,
You know, I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't get punched in the face before getting put in that arm triangle. And I didn't feel the pressure of that, but it seemed like he tapped kind of early. He tapped pretty quick on it, I feel like.
I agree. It was pretty quick, but I mean, we weren't down there getting our fucking necks squoze after getting hit with some of that shit. He hasn't lost since 2017, man. 12-fight win streak. I think it might have been the 11-fight win streak. It was the longest active, I think, in the UFC. I mean, that was a statement win from Makhachev, excuse me.
And he's on now to fight.
He's on 11. Yep.
Volk in Australia.
In Australia, yep. Volk come into the arena. Dana White had said that Volk would fight next between the winner of Oliveira and Makhachev. Oliveira said that he wants to get back in there quick and fight again to get back to the title, and I think that he will. I think he'll give it one more run at it. I mean, he's not getting much younger. What is Oliveira, 30-something? 33. Islam's 30. I thought Islam was like 28 or 29.
It'll be interesting to see who they match Oliveira up against next and how far they slide him after that.
I'm not against an Oliveira and Chandler too. You could do that on obviously Chandler's a pay-per-view star and so is Oliveira, but I mean, and I'm interested to see if Oliveira fights again on a pay-per-view or if he'll take a main event for a fight night.
I think it'll be a pay-per-view.
Dariush, I think Oliveira and Dariush could be a title eliminator fight, but I mean with Volk, and it always does this with the double champs, it kind of lags at the division a little bit. Volkanovski's a very active fighter, and he said that he can definitely keep both divisions flowing very nicely, and I do think that he can if he finds a way to beat Islam Makhachev.
Didn't Dana say today there won't be an interim belt?
No, yeah. Someone asked Dana White if they were going to do an interim belt while Volk fought for the lightweight belt, and Dana's like, no, we need to stay away from all these interim belts. And just do it the traditional fashioned way where you fight for the title.
It'll be interesting to see if Dana sticks to that. We should stay away from that because I think you have an interim belt coming in for if Francis Ngannou doesn't fight soon.
But if John Jones isn't coming back this year, I'm curious when Francis Ngannou's good to go, and if he wants to be good to go, if he wants to fight John Jones. It's such a super fight, man. I wonder if they could maybe try to get that done for February. Because I know March is taken for England, and John Jones isn't going to fight on a card that he's not the main event of.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to fight outside of the United States.
No, you'd probably see him come back to the United States.
I'm curious when it is when they're going to Australia. Is that February? I don't know when that is.
March is England. February or April.
January, I think, is Brazil. Sweet to get back to Brazil.
Where's it at in December?
Vegas. Excuse me. Yawning and shit over here. Peter yawning. I might just come up with something.
Going back to that Peter Yan Sean O'Malley fight, it was interesting to see how Sean handled the pressure of Peter.
Man,
like
Sean O'Malley can fight off his back foot really fucking good. But, I mean, Peter Yan closed the distance immediately that first round. I mean, he had Sean O'Malley on his back foot, but to the point where he had the cage behind him and he didn't really have anywhere to go.
Yan controlled the center of the octagon and was putting constant pressure on O'Malley, right off the bat. It's cool. It was interesting to watch him handle that.
Fuck, what
something he'd never faced.
What a good day of fights, dude. Worth every fucking minute of the pay-per-view. If you didn't buy it and you're just gonna wait the 2 weeks, go fucking buy it. That card was absolutely amazing.
Solid card.
Amazing card.
For sure, card of the
Stacked.
year.
Card of the year for sure. And we'll have an end of the year awards ceremony on the podcast, and that'll most likely be card of the year. I don't think there's much debate between the two of us on that one.
No, probably not.
Glad that Sean O'Malley's now 1-0-1 inside of the Ozark Trail Studios. Watching it here, his first fight that we watched here was the Pedro Munoz fight. I mean, obviously Sean O'Malley ended up winning that fight. I mean, it was ruled a no contest, but he won that fight. I mean, I don't know who Pedro's fighting, and Sean O'Malley just went up and fought the number 1 ranked guy in the division, and beat him at that.
What else? Oh man, there's a fight that I had something to say about, and I don't remember now. Oh well, I guess it wasn't important.
Must not have been. Next weekend we got good fights too.
We got fight night coming up.
Calvin Kattar and Arnold Allen. Can't remember where that one's at. Arnold Allen's a savage, dude. Fucking from the UK over there. Featherweight, I mean, his fight against Dan Hooker was fucking bonkers. I mean, he came out and put a fucking whooping on Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker is a savage.
It looks like next week we've got UFC Fight Night, Qatar versus Allen at the UFC Cater. Whoops, my bad.
You're good.
UFC Apex.
At the Apex back in Vegas. It'll be good to get back from Abu Dhabi and 11 to 18 hour. I can't remember what the flight was, all the way back to fucking Vegas and back to normal time.
Maybe go somewhere with a crowd. Come on.
It's so electric with the crowd, man. But the Apex is so beautiful, and I think that they'll always use the Apex. I think it's
They
so
will,
easy.
but
So easy to
I
put
don't
on.
care.
Easier to put on
I don't
fights
care for
there.
the Apex at all.
Tim Meads and Max Griffin. It's a good fight. Jared Vandera fights. I see him on TikTok all the time. Wait. Josh Fremd is a fucking savage versus Trayshawn Gore, too. Trayshawn Gore was on The Ultimate Fighter. Me and Coltrane watched that season every week.
Big American card here.
I did not know Trayshawn Gore was fucking 0-2 in the UFC since lost to he did lose to Brian Battle, and that was in the finale. Brian Battle's a fucking savage. And he made his welterweight debut against Sato, and he come out, I think 44 seconds in, fucking knocked his ass out. Pulling up the stats on that. Brian Battle. Only 7 strikes landed and he knocked him out. Brian Battle's a fucking savage. Well, let's fight tonight. There's a couple of... It's actually going to be another good weekend. Dustin Jacoby, he's right there. And Roundtree Jr.'s a fucking savage. And that guy is good on the mic. And he's got a good story and a good personality, too. Phil Hawes is on that card. Andrei Arlovsky. Chase Hooper. Chase Hooper's Ben Askren's son. I don't know if you've seen that clip, but Chase Hooper has like an afro like Ben Askren. Mm-hmm. And he went up to Jorge Masvidal at like a meet and greet. And he was like, "Why'd you do that to my dad?" Like, "Who's your dad?" He's like, "Ben Askren." He's like, "No way." I'm actually a big fan of Chase Hooper. He's been bulking too. A couple of losses.
We've got a couple little news things we can touch on. Robert Whitaker, Paulo Costa announced
That's
for
a big fucking
284.
fight, man. We just talked about that. Maybe that they would match up against each other.
Yeah, we did, and that it's official. 284.
We could be matchmakers.
It's 284 in
February.
February.
So that's the Australia
That's
card?
the Australia, so they're going to Australia in February.
And that's gonna be sweet. I wonder if they get Taito Ivasa on that card.
That would be good. Taito
I bet
also
you
made an
hands up.
appearance tonight
Yes,
with a
he did,
shoe.
with
He had a
shoe.
Volk shoe.
Volk hawked a big ass fucking loogie too and spit it right in that fucking shoe.
Absolutely
No
disgusting.
fucks to give.
Patty the Batty added to 282.
In December.
Yep, in December.
In Vegas.
Yep.
Who the fuck was he fighting? I think.
Jared Gordon.
Yeah,
Am I
Flash
correct on
Gordon.
that?
Yep, Jerry Gordon, Flash Gordon. That's a good fucking test fight too. Flash Gordon's a beast. Oliveira knocked him out on his win streak.
And then Bo Nickel officially out of UFC
With
282.
an undisclosed injury.
Undisclosed injury. It was reported he was supposed to be back for March 285.
Fuck, I hope before that, send him to fucking Brazil.
I know. I was surprised on how quick he was going to make his debut.
He says he wants to fight a lot. So fuck, send him in January. That sets him up. He gets, if he wanted to go with the Kevin Holland approach, that's how you do it. You start in January and you can fight fucking 5 times. Finish off your first contract in 1 year. I don't know what he ended up signing, but probably a 4 or 5 fight contract, and then re-sign and start next year at a much higher fucking pay.
I think it's 2. Don't they come out of the Contender Series with a 2-fight contract?
I think it varies. I don't know if it's
okay.
maybe it is a standard one, because then
I
it's
thought
like,
it
how
was
do you
like a
judge?
test, like just a test 2-fight contract. I don't know. I could be wrong. Could be speaking on my ass there. Was it Bo Nickel that was saying he wants to be champ by 2024? Or was that Joe Pyfer? I think it was Bo Nickel.
I don't know. I don't know if I ever heard that.
Well, if he wants to be champ by 2024, he's got to get some fights going. I think that's about it for news that stuck out this week.
What was your fight of the night tonight? Let's go through our performance bonuses for tonight. Let's go through submission of the night, knockout of the night, and fight of the night.
Submission of the night. Let me get back to the card here.
I can go first if you want.
Yeah, go ahead with your fight of the night.
Muhammad Makhachev. That dude's a fucking savage, bro. Flyweight in that division where, we're having Moreno and Figueiredo for the 4th time. We need some new names and new prospects up there. Raw Dog, Roy Val. He's fucking up there, but Makhachev comes out with a 3rd round armbar. I think it was an armbar.
That's your fight of the night?
No. That's my submission of the night.
Oh, okay.
KO of the night, I think... Probably Muhammad, man. I think Muhammad gets my knockout of the night. And my fight of the night, I agree with the UFC and with the Sean O'Malley and Peter Yan. That fight was crazy back and forth. We recorded our reactions. I don't think that they'll air. They might at some point air on some sort of a montage.
We may throw them on this video somewhere.
May throw it on
Who knows?
somewhere.
We'll
knows?
See. Let's see. So I did not watch the Muhammad Makhachev fight, so I cannot say that's my submission of the
It was
night.
the only submission of the night, though, so it is. Oh, I guess now the main event is on Makhachev.
Islam Makhachev gets a arm triangle submission. That's my submission of the night, unfortunately. Knockout of the night. Probably got to go with the Bilal Muhammad.
It's really the one that jumps off.
Yeah.
Jumps off the board.
Yeah, definitely. I'll agree with you on that one. And then I'm going to agree with you on your fight of the night. Peter Yan versus Sean O'Malley. Best fight of the night. Absolutely.
Fuck, it was back and forth, man. Especially with O'Malley, in my eyes, taking round 1. And then Yan taking round 2. That third, I was fucking pretty much shaking going into that 3rd round.
Mm-hmm. I think if TJ Dillashaw would have been healthy, didn't have those shoulder issues,
that fight would have been
a great fight. Would have been a great fight.
I'm curious if Sean O'Malley gets that title shot, and if not, who he would fight.
I think he gets it.
I think so,
I don't know that there's anyone
Aljamain
really
Sterling
above him.
and Sean O'Malley would be a fucking hell of a fight,
Oh, yeah.
man. That's one we gotta see. That's the fucking fight to make. I don't know if there's any debate in that. That's the fight to make.
Mm-hmm.
He beat the number. What else is it supposed to mean if you beat the number 1 ranked guy? I think that means that you fight for the title.
Yeah, I think we'll see that. That would be a big fight too. Big money fight there.
Huge fucking money fight. I saw in Aljamain's post-fight press conference, he said that the weight cut to 135 is not easy. He makes it look easy, but it's not easy, and that he doesn't know how much longer he's willing to cut to 135.
So we may see him move up retire.
No,
move up or retire.
I don't think retire, but move up.
145.
Yeah. I mean, that's Volk, man. It's like watching Aljamain Sterling go against Max Holloway. Hard to see that go any other way than Holloway.
That'll be interesting to see. We'll have to see if that happens.
For sure, man. I fucking love the UFC. There's never been I'll say this all the time, man. There's never been a better time than right now to be a fan in the UFC. There's so much shit going on, such high-level competitions. I mean, these cards are fucking bonkers. 281. I mean, we'll get to that here in a couple weeks.
Just
but
wrapped up 280 and look forward to 281.
281's not that far away. November 12th. I mean, what are we? Is that 3 weeks? 2 weeks? 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Holy shit, dude. What a fucking good year of fights, man. I love the fucking UFC. I love to watch this shit.
That'll be a good night of fights for sure.
Well, as we slowly start coming up to the end of this podcast, I just again, shout out to Forrest Griffin for helping us get the intro to this podcast.
Butchered the name, but we appreciate it still.
He just threw his own spin on it. I really thought maybe Dessert is the Dessert MMA podcast is a better name.
We didn't. Don't listen to him. We didn't think that even for a second.
Maybe.
No. I got a shout out. It's a little overdue, I think. Shout out to STN Hosh for the intro outro music.
Shout out to that boy STN Hosh. Yeah. That dude's fucking. Go check out his music on Spotify.
Yeah, go check it out.
I only say Spotify because that's the only thing I listen to music on. It's on. I think it's on Apple Music. It's on YouTube, SoundCloud. I think anywhere that you can fucking listen to music, STN Hosh is on there.
Check us out on on most platforms. We got TikTok at Deseret_MMA, Instagram at Deseret_MMA, Twitter at Deseret_MMA, YouTube. Obviously, you're watching this on YouTube, probably.
I'm a big podcast watcher.
Or maybe you're listening to it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
You might be from Belgium listening to this podcast. Already have it downloaded before you listen to it.
Shout out to the listener from Belgium.
Shout out to the boy from Belgium. Every episode we put out.
Our day one fan.
Day one fan.
I think they were the first download on the audio platforms.
I hope you guys had a snazzy day, a snazzy night. I hope your dreams come true in the next 24 hours. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm your host, Garrett Kimball. Of course, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Kobe Mooney. This is the Deseret MMA podcast, the #1 Utah-based podcast in all of Utah, and that's not for debate. Forrest Griffin said it's in all of the world. Yeah. For fucks, this is the best podcast. If you want to listen to MMA, this is where you stop to listen to it.
For sure.
And if you're not on it now, you're going to want to get on it soon because this fucking hype train's just getting rolling. We're just choo-choo, and we're out.
Thank you for watching and listening. Like, comment, subscribe, or leave a rating.
Mama always stressing cause she know I'm under something. Bendy on the cage just like I'm focused, I can fund it. I feel like LaMelo if I open it, he dunk it. I'm not talking basketball, I'm talking about the money. Had to want my smile cause being broken funny. Now I get these diamonds when I smile, it gets sunny. Bitch, I ruin dogs, yo, pussy with some I'm kicking shit like Karate Kid. I'm balling like Mikey up in that kid. I'm getting